The sun was setting behind the worn barn, casting long shadows over the patchwork fields I'd tended all my life. The air smelled of earth and sweat, a mix that should have been comforting, but tonight felt heavy, like the weight of every sneer and whispered insult that had followed me these past months. I stood by the rusty gate, wiping dirt-streaked hands on my worn jeans, and watched the horizon bleed orange and purple. It should have been peaceful here, my little farm, my sanctuary. But peace had become a stranger. They called me the fat farmer, a joke, a target. The 12 bikers who rode through my town like kings of destruction didn't see a man working hard, from dawn till dusk. They saw an easy laugh, a fool to humiliate. Their mocking voices still echoed in my mind, slicing through the quiet like a jagged blade. But beneath this bulk, beneath the roundness they laughed at, is a man who's known struggle, a man who's lost more than most care to imagine. I used to be someone else, someone sharp, fast, respected. But life has a way of breaking you down, grinding away the edges until all that's left is survival. Tonight, though, something was different. There was a tension in the air that I couldn't shake, a quiet storm gathering beneath the surface of this tired old farm. I felt the ache in my knees from years of labor, the familiar sting of exhaustion settling deep in my bones. But alongside, it was a restless fire, a flicker of something fierce that refused to die. I pulled my jacket tighter around me against the chill creeping in, heart pounding, not from fear, but anticipation. The bikers think I'm weak, that I'm nothing but a punchline. They don't know what it means to fight for every inch you have. They don't know what it's like to carry a past full of scars hidden beneath layers of flesh. There was a time when I could run faster than any of them could dream. A time when I held my head high and never flinched. But that man feels like a ghost now, lost to the years of hard living and harder losses. Still, tonight I wonder, can that ghost rise again? Can the fat farmer who's been mocked and scorned summon the strength to send those 12 bikers home broken? I don't have the answer yet, but the question burns hotter than the setting sun. The nights around the farm had grown colder, sharper, like the edge of a blade waiting to be drawn. The laughter of those 12 bikers still haunted the worn boards of my porch and the creaking rafters of the barn. But beneath that mocking noise, there was something else stirring, a tension in the air, a reckoning long overdue. I wasn't alone in this. My sister, Clara, helped keep the farm alive after Dad passed. She was the rock of this place, her hands rough but steady, her eyes sharp like a hawk's. She never missed a thing, especially not the way the bikers looked at me when they rode past, how their smirks grew wider when they caught me working. The fields. Don't let them get to you, Clara said one evening as we sat under the dying light, her voice steady but filled with worry. They see weakness and try to crush it, but you're stronger than that. I wanted to believe her, but the cracks had started forming, not just in the world around us, but inside the people I trusted most. Tommy was different. He was my oldest friend, the only one who'd stuck by me since we were kids, running through those same fields on summer nights. But lately, his eyes had grown cold, his words sharper. I caught him talking to some of the bikers in town, the same ones who spat at my name. One afternoon I saw him lean close, whispering to their leader, Jake, the man who'd led those mocking rides past my farm. A betrayal, wrapped in the guise of friendship. Tommy, what's going on? I confronted him after the barn's light faded to dusk. He shrugged, a bitter smile curling his lips. It's just business, Jim. You can't fight this alone. Maybe it's better if you step aside. Step aside. Those words stung worse than any insult the bikers had thrown. I clenched my fists, fighting the storm inside. This is my home, Tommy. I'm not going anywhere. But the seed of doubt had been planted. If even my oldest friend could turn his back, what hope did I have? Clara saw it all, her jaw tight with anger and sorrow. We have to be careful, she warned. They're testing us, looking for a weakness to exploit. The bikers' provocations grew bolder. They tore up fences, let loose pigs in the fields. And once I found tire marks scorched into the earth where the old tractor had stood. I worked harder, sweat mixing with tears as I patched fences and tended broken crops. But inside the fire burned fiercer, the fire of a man pushed too far. One night Clara found me staring at the cracked medal Dad had left me, the only thing I had from the man who'd taught me to stand tall, no matter the storm. "It's not just about the farm anymore, is it?" she said softly. "No," I admitted. "It's about respect, about showing them what it means to fight back." The tension twisted tighter when I learned that Tommy had been feeding information to Jake, details about the farm's weak points. Our schedules, even when Clara and I would be alone. The betrayal cut deep, sharper than any blade. I remembered all the times we'd sworn to watch each other's backs. Now those promises lay in ashes. Jealousy and anger warred inside me, but there was also sorrow, a heavy, aching grief for the friendship lost. I confronted Tommy one last time, in the barn where we had once dreamed of leaving this place behind, for something bigger. "Why?" I asked, voice breaking. "Why sell us out?" He looked away, unable to meet my eyes. I did what I had to do. They promised me protection, a cut of what's coming. "You sold your soul for a few coins," I said bitterly. He shrugged. "Maybe, but better than dying here alone." The betrayal was a wound I couldn't mend, but it ignited something else, a resolve to protect what was mine, no matter the cost. As the bikers' threats escalated, Clara and I prepared. We fortified. The farm, hidden traps laid beneath loose boards, makeshift weapons stashed where no one would find them. But even as we planned, the real enemy wasn't just the gang. It was the fracture inside our own circle, the shadows cast by trust betrayed. Night before the reckoning, I stood by the window, watching the moon carve silver paths through the dark sky. My hands trembled, but my mind was clear. I was no longer just the fat farmer mocked and laughed at. I was a man pushed to the edge, ready to fight back. The night was thick with silence, the kind that presses in on your skin and makes every breath feel heavy. The moon hung low, a pale witness to what was about to unfold. Clara and I had waited, hidden in the shadows of the barn, the makeshift weapons cold and heavy in our hands. Every creak of wood, every distant howl of a dog sent my heart hammering. The 12 bikers had come again, more brazen than ever, roaring up the dirt road in their thunderous machines, a pack of wolves ready to tear down what I'd built. But this time I wasn't just the fat farmer they'd mocked. I was something else, something they hadn't expected. They dismounted, laughing, cocky in their cruel arrogance. Jake, the leader, swaggered up first, eyes gleaming with mockery. "Well, well, looks like the pig's ready to be slaughtered." The sound of their taunt sliced through the night like knives, but I held my ground. Clara squeezed my arm, a quiet reminder that I wasn't alone. Then, suddenly, from behind the barn, Tommy stepped out. My heart froze. For a moment, I thought he was coming to stand with us, but the cruel grin on his face told another story. Jake's eyes flicked to Tommy, a spark of surprise mixing with approval. "Looks like our little spy decided to join the party," he sneered. Betrayal, like a cold splash of water, slammed into me. Tommy wasn't just a traitor, he was the key to their plans. The bikers closed in, circling us like vultures. But as Jake moved forward, ready to strike, I did something no one expected. I reached beneath my shirt and pulled out the battered, dirt-streaked medal I'd kept hidden, the one my father had given me long ago. It glinted in the moonlight, a symbol of a past no one had seen beneath the farm's surface. "Think you know who I am?" I said, voice steady despite the rage boiling inside. Tommy's face paled. You're Delta Force?" The laughter stopped. The mocking faces froze. All those years of hiding, the weight I'd carried, tonight it spilled out, raw and fierce. I took a breath, every muscle tensed like a coiled spring. "I fought in places you couldn't imagine. I faced enemies far worse than you." Jake's smug grin faltered. "That was a long time ago. You're just a fat farmer now." I smiled, not with kindness, but with a predator's calm. "Maybe, but you just made the biggest mistake of your lives." What happened next was a blur of motion and noise, a storm unleashed. I moved with a speed that shocked even me, my years of training surfacing like a ghost from the past. Clara fought by my side, fierce and determined, her voice ringing out as she shouted warnings and struck with unexpected strength. One by one, the bikers fell, some clutching wounds, others scrambling to escape the fury they'd unleashed. Tommy tried to run, but I caught him, grabbing his collar and pulling him close. "Why?" I demanded, voice cracking with pain and betrayal. Looked away, ashamed. I was scared. They promised me safety. "Safety," I spat. "You sold out your own blood for fear?" The fight was over before it began. 12 bikers, all sent home broken, defeated by the man they mocked. But as the dust settled, a deeper wound opened inside me. Tommy's betrayal cut far beyond the skin. It shattered something I didn't realize. I'd been holding on to trust. And in that silence, I realized the battle wasn't just against them. It was against the shadows in my own heart. The morning light filtered weakly through the cracked barn windows, casting long, pale shadows over the scattered remnants of the night's battle. The farm was quiet now. Too quiet. But something had shifted in the air, a heavy stillness charged with pain and something else, something harder to name. Clara sat on the porch steps, her hands trembling slightly as she tried to steady her breath. I could see the weight of what had happened pressing down on her. Not just relief, but the cost of what we'd faced together. The farm was ours, but the scars weren't just in the torn fences or crushed crops. They were inside us. Tommy was gone. We'd let him slip away, but his betrayal lingered like a bitter aftertaste. The friend I'd trusted, the brother I'd thought I had, it was gone, replaced by a cold stranger who'd traded loyalty for safety. It was a wound I didn't know how to heal. I stood at the edge of the fields, the dirt beneath my boots familiar, but now somehow strange. The medal hung heavy around my neck, a reminder not just of who I'd been, but who I still was. I thought back to the nights I spent hiding who I was, trying to be just the farmer, so no one would challenge me. I thought about the laughter of the bikers, the cruel sound that had echoed for too long, and how it had pushed me beyond my limits. There's a lesson in all this, I realized, one I want to share if you're willing to listen. It's easy to judge someone by what you see on the surface, their size, their quiet ways, the life they lead. But beneath that surface, there's a story you might never know, a strength that doesn't always shout. Sometimes the battles we fight are not against others, but against what we think we are. Against fear, doubt, and betrayal, not just from strangers, but from those we hold closest. I learned that strength isn't always about fighting with fists or weapons. Sometimes it's about standing tall when the world tries to tear you down, about finding power in pain and courage in the face of being laughed at. The farm will heal. The fences will be mended. The crops will grow again. But the hardest thing to repair is trust, the fragile bond that once broken leaves a shadow no sunlight can fully erase. So I ask you now, who do you see when you look at someone? The surface or the story beneath? Because sometimes the quietest man on the farm carries a storm inside, one that can send even the fiercest wolves running home in pieces. And sometimes the greatest battles happen not out in the open, but in the silent spaces we don't show.